Good morning. Let's get this day started. Let's turn the green APU off. Let's get this Detroit fired up. Today. Everybody, what's up? FSC Trucking. We are about 3-4 minutes away from where we pick up. We're picking up a truck at an auction, insurance auction. I don't know exactly what type of place it is. We're supposed to be picking up a 1995 Kenworth W900, and I'm told it's a non-runner. So we're meeting a wrecker at the auction lot there to load it for me. I've got to figure out if I have to get it, take it apart enough to get it low to not permit it, or whether we'll just throw a permit on it and ride. Up the question of hauling trucks and what you want to do with them, if you have to haul them or transport them. I've always thought it's best to, like Black Dog, you can pull the stacks off Black Dog relatively easy and then set them down on an RGN and you're good to go. Orwell, same thing, pull the stacks, he's under height, you can ride. This W9's got the stacks on it and an air fairing on the roof, so it's kind of like, long story short, it was like you would a company truck with that big air wing on the roof. You know, that fiberglass one is kind of molded in part of it. I don't know if you air the tires down enough, if that'll do it or whatever. So we'll have to figure that out. Saw a sign for Ritchie Brothers. Saw another sign for Copart. And I looked on Google Maps. This place appears to be not Copart. It's a different place. It might be part of Copart. I don't know. I guess a lot of people go that way thinking that's a road. Google Maps is not the smartest, and I don't think any of this AI stuff is all that bright either. You ever Google something and you read the AI summary of it, but you know enough about it to know the AI summary about it is like absolutely, completely wrong? So yeah, the Google Terminator machine if that's what we're up against, it's just not that smart. The problem is, load out. We're loading out. I can't read the rest of the signs because it's in the shadow. Customer parking, I can see that. Sign says drop zone. Okay, so now that I can read it, good thing I'm early, I guess. I'll back up. But yeah, that building right there on my left is what I saw on Google Maps. I went to Street View and I found it, so I guess it makes sense to set that area up to load out. I'm told they open at 8, so we're about 30 minutes early. So the question is, I guess it can't hurt to walk up to the door and find out. I was thinking, do I detach now or do I detach later? Around like this, do a big circle, see if I can see it. It's a red Kenworth W9 Studio. See a red truck over there to the right, but I don't see. It's not a Kenworth though. See what kind of fun in the sun we're gonna have today. I'm gonna go walk up to the door, see if I can at least check in, at least get to figure out like what the procedure is this place. Never been here before, so it's a relative unknown. Alrighty, I come over here to this little truck stop across the street. I wanted to get something to eat. I didn't know how long this would take, so pulled the valve stems out, letting the air out. I measured it up earlier before we left the auction lot there, and we were a 14.2. To pull the air out of the tires, that'll get us below 14. 14 is the magic number where permits get easy and cheap. So now we just need a permitter for 14 and we'll ride. It would have been easier maybe to take the tires off, but that's a lot of work. To be honest, if I had a wrecker come out and do it, it would cost more to do that than it would for the permits. So obviously we pull stuff a lot taller than that. 14.0 on a permit for that, easy. So now when we deliver it, all we got to do is put air back in them and drag them off. Be good to go. So excellent, they're done airing down. I just got to tighten up my chain real quick. Matter of fact, let's do that. Let me grab my gloves. So yeah, where we're at is exit 420 off of 80 in Nebraska. Oh, I also lowered the trailer too, I forgot. I took a little air out of the back. These are adjustable, so you can adjust your ride height. So I got the lowest, not the lowest possible ride height, but enough to give me some suspension travel and not worry about it. The insurance auction place is literally right across the street right there. So like I said, this way I can get this done. They also don't want you working on vehicles in their lot, so I did the front ones real quick over there, and I'm like, you know what, I'll just get the back ones over here real quick and I'll get some food in the process. So there we are. All right, let's tighten up our chains and get out of here. I figured I'd show you this, that way you see the amount of how loose these chains get. I gotta stretch this out so you can see how loose they get. Just from pulling the air out. That's how much height you gain. I'm letting air out of tires. I think the whole you can't work on stuff over there more stems from like it's mostly cars, right? So guys will show up to buy stuff and then they'll try to like, oh, let's try to get it running and we'll drive it home, you know. They don't want that there in their lot, so I don't know if they'd give me grief about letting air out of tires, but you never know. I mean, I had to set up a whole account with them and all of that. I'll probably never go there again. Well, whatever is what it is. I mean, I could take the air fairing off. The problem is, someone's got to spin the bolts on the outside while someone holds the nuts on the inside. And I'm only one person. The owner literally suggested to me a hacksaw. Not a hacksaw, a sawzall. He's like, man, just sawzall it off. I'm like, I can, potentially. But then I gotta re-strap it and all that crap. So I'm like, you know what? Let's get ahead. As long as I can get it down 14, and like I said, that's the magic number. Part of the learning curve is how many tools I need to bring with me. Is this kind of going to be maybe a normal thing for me hauling out of auctions where I may have to take trucks apart? So do I start bringing with me more tools than just basic repair tools? I don't have, granted I could have bobtailed over and got them. I don't have torch bits for the top of the Kenworth piece there. Got everything else, it's not the torch bits. That would have been a big deal, but pain in the neck. There you go. Now she's sitting on 10 flats. Now we're good to go, set to ride. Maybe I can eat my lunch quick, then we'll get strolling. All right, come on, let's go. all set to ride. And this is not the exit. Ha! Saw a sign over there that said truck exit and an arrow. I thought it was a road beyond the road sign that they're working on. Apparently not. I must have came in the exit then. Bear in mind, all I did was cross the street, so. Okay, false start. Let's try again. What do you think of them new Volvos like that one right there? I am not a fan. And that cowl induction, not cowl induction, like forced air in the hood, like almost like a hood scoop. Is that real or is that fake? Because if it's fake, then what's the point in it? If your whole thing is making an aerodynamic truck, why would you break the airstream just to look cool when you can? Volvos have their place, however. Because it's a 10-speed, you gotta let the RPM line way high and then wait for it to come down and get it in the next gear. So I try to Jake mark it down just a touch. There's a trick to it. Like that right there. If you get it wrong, you're way off. I mean, yeah, it sounds cool, but that's not why I do it. I'm not going to sit here and double clutch either. Not my thing. like I was saying earlier, Volvos ain't for everybody. They're not for me, for sure. But I'll give them credit. When Gentry bought that Volvo he calls Yeti and put it on the road hauling the big heavy stuff, that truck does not have an overheat problem. And he's between 650 and 700 horsepower in the, in his setup. So it does not give any issues overheating. It's a wonderful truck. It's not the coolest looking truck in the world, but it gets down the road, it makes money. So anyway, I was just looking at the styling on that new Volvo that pulled in. I'm like, do you like it or do you not? It's different. I don't like it. I don't like I like more of the traditional trucks. But what do you think? Yay or nay? Like it or not?
Oh, you thought this was a game, huh? Oh, you slept, you missed the range, huh? I don't switch sides, still the same, huh? 101 is for my name, huh? Told you this is not a game. Done playing, time to live up to my name.
So you got trucks like this that are, like, just a quick look over on this truck that we're hauling. It's a 95. It's got a 3406E cat. I don't know the serial number. I did look. It's painted over. Potentially taped over also, but it is definitely a 3406E because it still has a wide block, meaning there's still a space, a provision for a camshaft. Very loosely speaking, the 3406A, which was not originally called the A, it was a 3406. Was an in-block cam, 6-cylinder, inline 6-cylinder Caterpillar block. Later on, they adapted to 3406B. The head was, there were two different heads we know from talking with Flying Sparks Garage. I knew that already, but there's a pre-combustion chamber head and a direct injection head for the A model, for the 3406. When it came out with the 3406B, that was a direct injection head. Rather, or a nozzle in the top, no pre-combustion chamber. They shifted the injector pump more forward and raised up the air compressor. Don't know why that was done, but it was. Differences in the block, I don't know. It was still an in-block cam with rocker arms on the top to push your valves down. Injectors in your injector pump through a set of tubes and nozzles to go into your combustion chamber. 3406C, the way I understand it, was a little bit of more trimming to it for emissions. Some, I think, had a little bit of electronics to it. Don't know much about them. Then they went with the 3406E. Now they went with injectors in the head, overhead cam, and all they did to make the block the same from the older generation is instead of putting a camshaft in the block, they put blank bearings in there to keep the oil gallery from spitting the oil into where a camshaft would be. Later, when they came out with the C15, C16, C18, and on, they machined the block differently, total different cast, to where they eliminated the space for the camshaft in the block. So when you go back and look at my yellow 99 379 Peterbilt, it came with the 3406E. We put a crate engine C16 cat in it, a 7CZ, which was fed at factory 600 horse. That engine, I believe, was only built for like 2 years because it was a non-twin, everything says twin turbo. The A-cert was not twin turbo, it was compounded turbo. It was turbo on top of turbo. Not a twin, it was a compound. Anyway, the the 7CZ C16 that I had was a 2-year engine, which was a single turbo, non-Acer, 600 horse factory. That's what went in my 99. This 99 Black Dog is the 12.7 liter Detroit, where the other cat I had was a 15.8 liter. I missed that truck. If I ever had the opportunity and the money to buy it back, I would. My younger son Matthew is talking on the phone to me about potentially building a clone of that truck. And then I showed him what that engine is worth, and he was like, "Holy crap!" I'm like, yeah, I bought my first house for a little bit more, just a little bit more than what that engine. He found a rebuilt one, used, or I'm sorry, rebuilt. For like 50, like 54, I think. 54,000. That's the engine. The problem that I had with that big Caterpillar was keeping it cool, and that was an absolute problem. Tim Gentry's rooster with that monster Caterpillar. Let me tell you, it is a beast. It is almost difficult to drive. You have to, like Black Dog is setting away. You can just set the cruise control when it works. It's a summertime cruise. Black Dog, you can just drive down a road and not worry about it. You don't have to. Now look at this here. I'll let them know what I think of them. They're checking for seatbelt, they're checking for texting with the camera. Big brother is watching you. Anyway, Timmy Gentry had a problem with that truck with overheating when it was set real high, and he was talking about on his video about how to solve that problem, where Yeti doesn't have that problem. My Peterbilt, the 99, the yellow one with the cat, same identical problem. I don't think it's a Caterpillar problem. I think it's a Peterbilt problem, my personal opinion on the engines and the trucks and so on. These W9s, like I'm hauling, there was a narrow hood and a wide hood, and then the a T800 had a really wide hood if you set it up right for like heavy haul. But like I said, I don't know. I had overheat problems with my other truck. Black Dog, you could ride, you could set up and not worry about him, but he's only a 12.7. I don't know what, I never put a computer on it. I don't know what the power setting is to it. To me, it feels more 450, 500 just for driving it. That's just how it feels to me. It's capable. I've hauled quite the heavy load with it. I mean, nothing like Crystal Miller does with the 4-axle trucks, but I've had Black Dog well into 94, 95,000 pound gross with an overweight permitted striker on this trailer. So the dog does just fine, but it doesn't overheat. I often wonder, unless you have a special fancy custom cooling system, I just tend to think having the monster power under the hood or under the cab, in Orwell's case, I guess that's kind of why I'm discussing this, is everybody thinks Orwell needs a bigger engine. What do you do when you're out west pulling a long, 10-mile long grade, and you can't run your engine full power the entire grade because you're overheating? What's the sense in having that kind of power if you can't keep it cool and run it that hard for that long. That's why I believe you don't need the big monster power. There's a video out on YouTube of a factory Keen heavy haul truck that had a 400 Cummins in it. It's a video on Miss Flatbed Red's channel where she did a walk around with this truck. It's not painted old Keen colors like mine, but it's a factory Keen spec heavy haul. And when you look closely at it, as I know my truck intimately well, I recognize a lot of components on how that truck is built, between some things in the interior, some things on the exterior, and just the way it's set up. It is very obviously an old Keen truck, except for the fact they, I would say, ruined the pedigree by its repaint, but you can tell where it was from if you know where to look. And that truck only had a 400 horse Cummins in it. I wonder how the big cats do with the heavy haul in these W900s for cooling. Can you climb a big long grade wide open throttle and not burn it up when you're running 600-700 horsepower? Good question.
Take some punches, leave you bleeding, leave you bruised, beaten, but I'm still never you see this was a game, huh? Oh, you slept, you missed the range, huh? I don't switch sides, still the same, huh? 101 is for my name, huh? Told you this is not a game. Done playing, time to live up to my name. Cuss them out, they said I changed. They just say keep up to base. In my lane, go time, sun or rain. Oh, you thought this was a game? This is not a game. 24/7, still get my 8 in. Was never mad if they win. Lace up my shoes and weigh in. Went out and I stayed in. Burned out so I came in. For me the vision made sense. For them I told them patience. Now I'm done waiting. Time to get it done. Time to get it shaking. Started from the basement. Nor was it one. Now we on top of skyscrapers. $100 steak. Still my paper plated. Gotta stay humble. 10 toes down. Gotta stay motivated. Nah, nah.